Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management? Deanne Phillips, Director of Client Learning and Development, CFP, and a CDFA at Annex Wealth Management. Welcome back.
Hi.
A lot of talk about people retiring early. We also hear stories about people regretting retiring early. Do you need to go from straight up working to entirely retired? Maybe not. Maybe what you need to consider is trying it on, maybe on a part-time basis. Maybe you can call it retirement dating, and that's what we're going to talk about. Deanne, before any of these steps are in place, you got to have a plan in place.
You absolutely do. You need to understand your cash flows, your resources, the viability of those resources to be able to work in a tax-efficient manner on your behalf.
First suggestion for people trying retirement on in a part-time basis, try out different retirement destinations. I know you've kind of dug into this.
Yeah, I really have. So especially as we get closer to a transition like retirement, we might have this vision that starts to blossom and come into fruition of what we imagine our retirement might be like. We see ourselves there. Maybe we've communicated that with a life partner. Maybe we haven't. If we haven't, never is too late to start that communication. But if it involves something dramatically different than the current situation, like a change in locale, then you really need to give that some thought and try it out, and not necessarily as a tourist going to a resort and spending a week there. Really immerse yourself in that different location. So you're checking out the social environment, the weather, the viability and the closeness of the resources you need. Like, how easy is it to get your groceries? What's the accessibility to your health care? How are the roads if you have to drive to and from every day on this road? So really checking that out. I can't tell you how many clients I've heard that have gone to different locations, and within a couple years they said, you know what, I had no idea the traffic was this bad, or I had no idea it would be such a terrible plane ride just for my family to come or me to see them, and they end up moving again.
Next up, if you're thinking about trying out retirement on a part-time basis, play around with how you're going to use your free time. And that is a big challenge.
Yeah, it's how you're going to fill those 40 hours that you used to spend at work and what you see yourself doing. Are you the babysitting grandparent? And if so, what's the balance of family time and you time, right? Are you the person who likes to volunteer all the time? And what does that look like? Does taking up a hobby you never had before when you were working make your soul sing? The thing about that we have to be careful of in this case is sometimes if you're an A-type personality especially, dive into that hobby full time, and all of a sudden it can feel like work.
How about your gardening thing?
All the time. So this is interesting, Danny. So I'm a master gardener volunteer. I thought this would be what I'd want to do in retirement. And I'm a ways off from retirement, but I went ahead and got my certification while I'm still working because I found that I took a look at my budget and I was spending so much money on my own garden. And I had to do some soul searching and say, is it about my garden or just gardening? And I realized that I could volunteer. That made me happy, to a public ground. I could see the fruition. I was doing the act. That was it. Hey, saves my budget and kind of taught me a little lesson about balance, too, for the future.
Interesting you mentioned budget. There's another suggestion is to try living with your retirement budget ahead of time. Why is that important?
One miscalculation that we do tend to see are people thinking they're going to spend less in retirement. I mean, who really wants to cut back on their lives all of a sudden when they've got this extra time? So looking at resources, what they've saved, income, and what they have left over, and maybe if they want to leave anything for future generations, set your goals first. Understanding this exercise and knowing what you can spend is actually a powerful exercise. It gives you a powerful advantage when you're planning for retirement. It builds you up for success because you can make choices then based upon what you can spend. Now, people who start thinking about who they want to be, what they want to do, where they want to do it, who they want to do it with, it really empowers them with knowing they have the resources, and they tend to start their transition into retirement on a happier note, or at least a less frustrating one.
Remember, happy retirement, like a happy relationship, it takes soul searching. You mentioned that earlier. That's a conversation that we have with all of our clients. What is it that you want? What is it that's important to you?
Absolutely. We're not retiring from something. We're retiring to something. And this is important no matter what age you are. We have an awful lot of 40-somethings that are doing the FIRE method and want to retire early as well. Then they've got even more decades of what am I going to do to make me happy? So this is a much deeper, holistic conversation than just, am I going to run out of money?
I just read a piece recently. There's this huge thing called the Great Resignation. That's people that retire early, and then it is turned into the Great Regret, and you don't want that.
No, you definitely don't want that. And we all know people, too, who have worked, retired, and then passed away because they have no goals, no ideals, nothing to look forward to. So we are a social race, the human beings. We need, again, to have something to dream for, to think about, to long for, to want to do.
Have you heard the stories of people that have retired and then regretted it?
Yeah, or, also they've hugged onto their dream no matter what. Like we have people who say, okay, I'm done now. I'm getting that boat. I'm getting that RV. And they sell their house. They immerse themselves fully in this. Well, kudos for them. But then they find out, oh gosh, I'm a little seasick. Or that RV breaks down all the time. I don't want to do this. Or it's hard to get my mail. Or now I can't see my kids. So that's why picking a location, finding a lifestyle, and testing the water, kind of dating it a little bit to and through the transition of retirement can really help you settle into a happier future.
It's important, folks. Get a plan. Investment, retirement planning, tax planning, estate planning. That's what we do as a fee-only fiduciary. Know the difference? Our website, annexwealth.com. Click that Get Started button. Start that wealth metric process. Deanne Phillips, Director of Client Learning and Development, CFP, CDFA at Annex Wealth Management. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me.